at 1 John 2:16. It says, for all that is in the world, three things. This is the summary of the world. It says, for all that is in the world. It's not more than this. This is the summary of the entire world. Science, technology, health, housing, sports, entertainment, business, the financial sector, government governance. It says, for all that is in the world are contained and encapsulated in these three dimensions. Number one, the lust of the flesh. Number two, the lust of the eyes. And number three, the pride of life. And these three things are not of the Father, but it's of the world. But let me take this quickly for us to strike a balance. Look at me, church. Every sin a man commits is within these three dimensions. Every sin man commits. In the worldly, judicial, or legal systems, if a man steals a goat, the punishment that will be meted out to him is different from the punishment that will be meted out to somebody that commits manslaughter, but not with God. Every sin man commits is in three broad categories. First of all, let me correct an impression. There is a difference between iniquity and sin. Iniquity is the thought, the thinking, the imagination of sin, while sin is the practice of iniquity. Sin is the action of iniquity. Are you hearing what I'm saying here? One of them is the imagination, is the thinking of. The other one is the practice of, is the action of. But let me tell you how God works. The psalmist did not say, if I regard sin in my heart, God will not hear me. No, he said, if I regard iniquity in my heart, God will not hear me. It means that God does not judge you by your actions. He judges you by your intentions. It means that God does not judge you by your outward expression. He judges you by your inward impressions. Am I in the right place here? It means that God does not judge you by your methods of doing things. He judges you by your motive. You have not done it. The judgment has started. But man will judge you by your actions, not your intentions. Man will judge you by your methods, not your motive. Man will judge you by your outward expressions, not your inward impressions, because man does not know who you are. That's why God said to Samuel, don't look at the outward countenance. I, the Lord, I try the hearts and the reins of men. God sees you. That's why the Bible speaking says in Galatians, it says, be not deceived. God is not mocked. Whatever a man sows is what the man will reap. Be not deceived. God cannot be mocked. Am I talking to anybody here? Now look at me, church. Every sin a man commits is in three broad categories. And these three things, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, are found in the wilderness temptations of Jesus Christ. When Satan came to meet him, after he had fasted for 40 days and 40 nights, he came on the platform of these three degrees or packages of sin. Number one is the lust of the flesh. After fasting for 40 days, the devil said to Jesus, if you are the Son of God, do what? Turn these stones to bread. A man who has fasted for 40 days, his immediate problem with food. Turn stones to bread. Understand this. Satan will tempt you in the place of your most dire need. A woman who's looking to get married, they won't tempt you with other things. You are saying that time they go, my biological clock is ticking. That's when they will bring all kinds of things your way. A man who is desperate for money, all kinds of things will come your way. It's called the what? The lust of the flesh. These are things that deal with your flesh. That's where fornication is. That's where adultery is. The lust of the flesh. We don't have time to go into much. Number two is the lust of the eyes. It's the lust of the eyes. It's the lust of the eyes. What did he do to Jesus? He took Jesus, number 2, to the high pinnacle of the temple. And he showed him the glories of all the world. Not the world as it was in that time, because there was nothing glorious about the world at the time. He showed him the world as it should be. Because the spiritual controls the natural. What we have not seen physically already exists in the spirit. The houses that were not seen yet. That plot of land by your house that there's no building on, that is a refuse dump site. The 5-star or 7-star building that will be in it eventually already exists in the spirit. So he showed him Dubai, showed him Singapore, showed him my village, Amasoma. Oh my God. Showed him the Echo Atlantic City. Showed him the glories of the world, the financial systems, the Ivy League schools. Showed Jesus, the Fortune 500 companies. Everything that makes the world the world. He showed them to Jesus. It's called the lust of the eyes. Lust of the eyes are things that appeal to your eyes. Things that used to torture you. Things they used to torture you. For some people, it's the muscle of it's 6-pack of a man. For some people, it's the leg of a woman. For some people, it's a car. It's a house. It's large sums of money. Anything that appeals to the eyes falls under this category of the lust of the eyes. Am I talking to anybody here? Sin no pass this one. Then number 3, it says, and the pride of life. He took Jesus to a mountaintop, and everybody saw him on the mountain. Now don't forget, nobody saw Lucifer or Satan. All they saw was Jesus Christ standing, and devil was talking to him. Jesus was coming in bodily form. Satan was Satan, spirit. Nobody saw him. But Jesus was just there, and devil told him, let yourself down. For it is written, I'll give my angels charge over you, and they will bear you up in their wings, that you will not dash your foot against a stone. If Jesus had allowed himself to fall from that place as if he was a skydiver and just went down, and then the angels now bore him, and then he now landed, his ministry would have taken off on a powerful pedestal. The ways of man are not the ways of God. His ministry wouldn't have needed to go through the things his ministry went through. Every sin man commits is in these 3 categories. Check it. Hebrews 4 verse 15 says, for we have not a high priest who cannot be touched with the feelings of our infirmities, for he was at all points tempted. All points tempted. All points is 3. Lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes, and pride of life. Against these 3 dimensions, there's nothing the devil has on anybody. These are the 3 major points of sin. And if you can identify your flaws, your FLAWS, it will not throw you down to the flaws. The FLOORS. And how did Jesus overcome them? Every time the devil showed up and brought any of his legs, Jesus will unsheath his sword and he will say, for it is written. For it is written. For it is written. When the first one came, he said what? For it is written, man shall not do what? Live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of the Father. When he told Jesus, number 2, to do what? To fall down and worship him. Jesus said, it is written, thou shalt serve the Lord thy God, and him alone shall thou do what? Worship. When he told him to let himself down from the high mountain, Jesus said, for it is written, thou shalt not tempt the Lord thy God. Which means one of the ways to live above sin is to be a student of the word. Is to know your scriptures. Too many believers are falling victim because we have sheathed our swords. It is time to unsheath it. It's time to bring out your sword. There's a battle raging. There's a devil who has vowed that you must fall. And look at me. Satan does not come with forked teeth. He doesn't come with horns. He doesn't come with a long tail, dragon-like tail. No. Satan can come through the person you cannot say no to. I preached a message here years ago. A friend sent by the enemy. How did he get Adam through Eve? Watch the people you cannot say no to. How did they get Jesus through Judas. He said, the one I will kiss. Those of you that like to kiss, your mouth like kiss. He said, the one I will kiss. Of course, the kissing there is a gesture of greeting. That thing they do, they hug, mwah, mwah, or they just hug each other. But even then, I will stop here. If I bless somebody, shout a big amen for me.